Newshour 10 Agenda.
Hello and welcome. You're watching the Newshour Agenda. I'm Padmaja Joshi, and today we are starting Newshour Agenda by saying thank you. A heartfelt thank you because of the faith that you have reposed in not just the channel but also in the Newshour. After almost a year and a half, BARC, which measures television ratings, released its data today. We are very, very happy and proud to say that your channel has emerged once again with flying colors, and it's only because you have remained with us, you have supported us, and you have believed in us. It is because of your committed viewership that Times Now has emerged as the most watched channel in the prestigious AB market segment of all cities, with a population of 10 lakh plus. Everyone today, and there's a running joke for good reason, that everyone is claiming to be number one. The reason is because they will not tell you, it will always be there in the fine print, that in X cities, in the X to Y bracket, we are number one. The thing is, we're being upfront about it. We are number one, and we are claiming that we're number one because we are number one in all cities and across all age groups, in the largest age group audience, 10 lakh plus viewership. In short, this target group is the largest universe of English news watchers. We hope to live up to your expectations, and I'm happy that we've done something right, that you've also been very, very kind to the Newshour Agenda, despite there being a lot of drama in many other platforms that you could have chosen to watch. You have gone with conviction and you've gone with real news. And we hope that in the days to come, you will be here with us as we try and get you the best news, the fastest news, and the most trusted news. And today, let's get started on the Newshour Agenda with the latest controversy on the block. Today, the Gujarat government passed a resolution to include the Bhagwad Gita in school syllabus for classes 6 to 12. Now, the circular issued by the state said that Srimad Bhagwad Gita will be introduced from these classes in the form of stories and recitation in textbooks. For higher classes, that is 9 to 12, students will be offered a deeper introduction to the Gita. This move has raised hackles, especially coming as it does hours, just a few days after the Karnataka High Court upheld the restrictions on wearing a hijab in colleges where a uniform is prescribed. Also, it's not being gone unnoticed that elections in Gujarat are scheduled for later this year. But natural that political motives are also being ascribed to the move. Plus, there is concern about why the subject is made compulsory. The question and the concern is it deliberately being foisted on people irrespective of the caste, class, religion they belong to? What if somebody is not comfortable with reading a text in school that is largely considered to be related to Hinduism? Is this then about inculcating values, or is it about politics and also reaching out to a community or religion in particular?
हमारे शिक्षा विभाग ने तय किया है आदरणीय भूपेंद्र भाई के नेतृत्व में श्रीमद् भागवत गीता का मूल्य और उसका सिद्धांत हम विद्यार्थी के जीवन में असर और उसके लिए एक आदर्श बनाने के लिए उसमें डालेंगे और 6 से 8 में उसका परिचय, सर्वांगीण शिक्षा वो पाठ्य पुस्तक में डालेंगे।
कांग्रेस पार्टी को, ना मुझे, ना किसी भी गुजराती को इस बात से कोई दिक्कत हो सकती है, पर सोचने वाली बात यह है कि जब जब कहीं पे चुनाव आते हैं, जिन जिन स्टेट में चुनाव आते हैं, वहीं पे भारतीय जनता पार्टी, वीएचपी, आरएसएस ये उनकी राजनीतिक सोच लेके, जो हिंदुत्व का एजेंडा लेके जो बात करते हैं, वो चुनाव के टाइम पे ही करते हैं।
In secular India, where there is freedom of religion, you can't impose upon students or upon anybody a religion, a religious teaching of a particular religion. And I think such kind of education policy with Bhagwad Gita as an integral part of study for 12th student to even those who are not following Hindu religion would be violative of Constitution of India.
You're watching the News Hour at 10, debate number 1 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
All right, joining us on the debate, we have Tuhin Sinha, spokesperson of the BJP, Professor Sangeet Ragi, political analyst, Danish Qureshi, political analyst, and Manasvi Thapar, lawyer. Let me start by asking you, Tuhin Sinha, why is it that 6 months before the Gujarat election, suddenly everyone wakes up, the government wakes up to the Bhagwad Gita?
Good evening, Padmaja. On this auspicious night, on the eve of Diwali, the time is right to dispel decades of darkness left behind by fallacious, pseudo-secularism and pretentious virtue signaling. And the best way to do that is by embracing the Gita. Now, it would be very myopic to think of Bhagwad Gita as merely a religious text. It is probably the best handbook for a de-stressed living in today's times. It is the most lucid book which tells you to embark on the path of karma by following dharma without unnecessary expectation. So, I have seen videos of Ukrainian soldiers taking solace in the verses of Gita during the most terrible times they went through in the last few weeks. So what problems do certain sections of the country over here have in embracing the Gita? The Gita is an innate part of our cultural identity, and I don't think, in fact, if this had been introduced 3 decades ago or 4 decades ago, probably the Congress would have been more sensitive to the killings of Kashmiri Hindus in Kashmir and not dismissed it as mere propaganda.
Danish Qureshi, it is a spiritual book, not a religious book.
I think Mr. Spokesperson of BJP is doing a big job. And what is about the constitution if they are imposing such type of restrictions to the students, those who are not belonging to Hinduism? I think this is the conspiracy of BJP to give up the ratio of the drop-off from the schools of religious minority students. What we saw in Karnataka High Court judgment, and the same thing has been repeated after the few hours coming the judgment on the hijab by the Karnataka High Court. Now, if it's a spiritual book, if they think that this is a spiritual book and been recited by the Ukrainian soldiers, why they go and impose in Ukraine? Why they want to impose in Gujarat, which is having the state which is having a secular constitution? Why they want to forcefully impose that spiritual book? It is for you, not for the religious minority, those who are not Hindu, those who are not those who are not having faith in Hinduism.
But the argument being made by Tuhin Sinha is it is not a religious text. It is a spiritual text. You don't have to be an adherent of Hinduism to read the Gita.
Okay, then we start
Gita,
reciting Quran
Gita,
also,
as I'm
start
sure
reciting
you would
Bible
know,
also,
is
start reciting the other religious books also.
literally Sri Krishna telling Arjuna when he is hesitating about conviction to go into war.
I am not having faith in Arjuna and Krishna. Why?
You don't have to have faith in Arjuna.
No,
Arjuna is not a god.
Padmaja, remember one thing. I am not having faith in Krishna. I am not having faith in Arjuna. Why should I recite that? In which I am not having faith.
Why should you, Sangeet Ragi? Why should anyone recite when they do not believe in Krishna?
I think that he has asked a very important question. Gita is not a religious text, as Tuhin Sinha said. It is the way there is a science of breath, right? And the science of breath suggests that you have a mitochondria. Your body is a composition of a composite whole of tissues, and a mitochondria is a powerhouse. The more you take the oxygen intake, the more you release the energy in ATP form. Gita is similarly a philosophy of life. It says simply that be in present. Don't get distracted by what happened in the past, what will happen to future. You remain in present. Secondly, it talks about the theory of karma. It is not that I believe in certain doctrine and then I will have a reserved place in the heaven. Gita doesn't say. And it is not meant for Hindus. There is no word Hindu dharma or Hindu per se in the entire, all the couplets in Gita. You won't find even a single word in the verses at all in the Gita, entire Gita. And it is completely what a man can do, how a man can get connected to the, complete power of the total power of the universe, which you call God, you call Allah, whatever you want to call, doesn't matter. But it is that how you have to live a good life, how you can enjoy the life. It is the art of living.
It's the art of living, Danish Qureshi. Respond to that.
Remember, Padmaja, if he believes in the book of philosophy, he can. But what did I say? Single line question was that I am not having faith in that why it should be imposed. We are having number of books of modern education. Why they are restricting that and want to impose Gita? This is a single line. And remember one thing, this is the constitutional rights of the students, those who are studying in the school and colleges.
Sangeet? Yes, Sangeet,
Danish,
quick response, yes.
Danish, when I happened to be the student of class 6, 7 or 8th or 10th in Bihar, the verses of Bhagwad Gita were taught to all the students up to class 10th. And it was mandatory for all the students, even the students who happen to, belong to the Muslim community. So all a student used to study the verses of Bhagwad Gita up to class 10th. Remember, and it was not the BJP government then, my dear friend. It was the Congress government. Subsequently, it was Lalu Prasad government. Even today it is taught in the Sanskrit text. So it is not for the first time that Gujarat government is, you may accuse Gujarat government because of your, the communal prejudice, your mindset, but I don't have to comment on that. But remember, you don't have to, swear by Lord Arjuna or Krishna, Lord Krishna or Arjun. You just have to understand the philosophy of life. There are several verses where you don't find mention of, Lord Krishna or Lord Krishna or Arjun even.
Before we get into the merits,
my single line answer.
Okay, single line, yes.
Okay, Mr. Spokesperson of BJP has confessed that the policy of Congress as BJP is same, although they have given an example that till then they were studying the
Can I come in over here?
No, next time, better next time.
Okay, you could quickly respond to that, Tuhin Sinha, because this is about the politics. Quickly respond on the politics and I'll bring in Manasvi Thapar. Yes.
Padmaja, I'll take some time. Padmaja, after independence and till the shady inclusion of the word secularism during the time of emergency, certain things were given as natural. The anecdotes from Ramayana or the teaching of Gita in all Arya Samaj school and possibly many other schools was given as natural. It is only post that certain people and certain political parties have become more conscious of compulsively objecting to certain things, of compulsively creating a confrontationist attitude. And again in 1995, the Supreme Court judgment that Hinduism is a way of life more than a religion should set aside that attitude. If they go on this attitude, at least the Congress is paying the price for embarking on this compulsively confrontationist attitude and taking on the Hindu religion. And if the Congress is happy to go to see, I can only empathize or I can feel sorry for people like Danish. But if Congress itself has adopted an Islamist agenda, then it will go down the drain the way it has been going in the last 9 years.
Before you carry on about the Islamist agenda, his point is more simple. He's saying give people a choice. Why are you forcing somebody who may not be comfortable with it? Maybe not even for religious reasons. Somebody just doesn't want to study the Gita. They want to study chemistry.
No, that I'm telling you that is where the problem arises. You can be taught about it, and yet you can possibly reject it at a later stage. But had people in Kashmir, had the first 4 decades, in the four decades after independence, had they been taught basic ethos, the massacre of 1990 would not have happened. A lot of ills would not have happened.
Okay, so tell me of the Quran or the Guru Granth Sahib.
Certainly, why not? All Indic religions, I'm talking about all Indic religions are essential components of Indian civilization and Indian ethos. So minus Indian ethos or minus Indic religions, there is no need to. And that is what Gandhi said, that India doesn't require. That is what Vivekananda is arguing again and again. I am talking again, repeating Gandhi, that India doesn't need any kind of civilizational teachings from the West. And that includes even the Islamic studies. So our philosophy, it satiates all our spiritual questions. That is what Gandhi is writing in Hindu Swaraj. So we don't need Quran, we don't need Bible, right? So when you look at the Indian text, we call them spiritual texts. I don't call them Hindu texts because the Gita doesn't say anywhere, it doesn't say Upanishad. You won't be finding the word Hindu at all in the Upanishads. It is actually talking about the philosophy of life. There are Upanishads which are talking about the Brahmins, and the Brahmin is not the way we interpret Brahmin. The Brahmin is one who has unified with the power of the universe. You know, and this is not something that is complete in itself.
Okay, why are you laughing, Danish Qureshi? Because even if you may laugh at Sangeet Ragi, you keep talking about secularism. One person who you will not accuse, I hope, of being dogmatic or of being a bigot is the father of our nation, who is Mahatma Gandhi. And Mahatma Gandhi himself said that I draw inspiration from the Bhagwad Gita, because if there is one thing that stands out in the Gita is that it is free from dogma. That it doesn't talk about only one religion. It is about a way of life. And let me actually quote Gandhiji to you, where he says, Gita is not a collection of do's and don'ts. It is non-sectarian and it is non-dogmatic. Do you know that there is a university in London that is teaching engineering students about the Gita compulsorily? In London, the Sutton University has said you must study the Gita, because it teaches you how to center yourself. Danish.
I'm not against that. I'm not against that. Those who want to, even some of the course, I have also read it for the Gita, but that should be optional for the sake of knowledge. But you can't force to the student of 6 to 12 that possibly they should go through the Gita. Why they are doing like this? My single line question is that only. And instead of talking on that,
but are you agreeing that the Gita is a spiritual text and not a religious text?
No, why? That is not for me. Try to understand. This is not for Christian. That is not for Buddhist. That is not for Jain.
I'm asking you a simpler question. Are we in agreement now that it is a spiritual text, as Gandhiji said, and not a religious text?
Gandhiji said that are the views of Mahatma Gandhi. Remember one thing, Padmaja, but Gandhiji didn't allow to force anybody. Did they say that should be go through each and every citizen of the India?
Sir, I am asking you the simpler question. Are we in agreement, first of all, that it is a spiritual reading and not a religious reading? Because once we agree on that, then reading the Gita is like being taught, say, botany. So, you know, nobody gets a choice in botany. So somebody can say, I do not want to study Hindi at all. But we have compulsory languages, right? Or you have a compulsory subject. You can treat it like that. It's not a religious subject at all. As long as we agree it is spiritual and not religious.
That is up to those who want to believe, they can. But I don't believe in that, so I can't.
Okay. Gandhiji believed in it. His problem. Danish Qureshi doesn't. Manasvi Thapar.
Padmaja ji, India is a land of civilizations and cultures. We are an incubator for civilizations, and that is what the world knows about it. When we talk about Bhagwad Gita, how can we forget about Atmas of Jainism? Please don't interrupt, sir. Sir, please don't interrupt. When we talk about Bhagwad Gita, how can we forget Guru Granth Sahib of Sikhism? How can we forget Triptika of Bodh Dharma? So these are also religious and spiritual texts which we need to inculcate. While we talk about Bhagwad Gita, yes, definitely, it's an essence of life. It talks about karma, karmanyavadika raste ma phalechu kadasya. That is what the essence of Bhagwad Gita is. We all follow that. But the point here is, when we as a country are proud of our civilization, how can we also not be proud about other civilizations which may not be in as a majority as Hinduism is? And we as Hindus love Bhagwad Gita. We would also want our children to know about Agma's Guru Granth Sahib and also Triptika. Why? This is a pointed question to BJP. Why not create an environment ecosystem where
quick answer to that, Sangeet Ragi. Very commendable you actually quoting from the Gita, Manashri Thapar. Yes.
I completely agree with Manashri Thapar. I don't have any problem. But look at Manashri. There are some civilizations you are talking about. They have nurtured the civilization, which inculcates or which comprises of exclusivist doctrine that salvation is possible only this way, not other way. So we're talking about two other civilizations. I am deliberately avoiding because Padmaja has cautioned me and I am abiding by. So actually you cannot compare with that. Here there is nothing like who is included, who is not to be included, who is going to, it is not a Semitic religion. Semitic religion has a book, has a prophet, and has a certain way of getting salvation.
Okay.
This is not doctrine that you find in case of Gita at all.
Okay.
That is not find also in case of Tripitaka and also in Guru Granth Sahib. So yes to Guru Granth Sahib, yes to Tripitaka, but no to Bible and Quran.
All right, we are going to leave it at that because we're not going to carry out a larger theological debate here. But can this be more inclusive, this kind of a directive? There is definitely agreement on that as far as Indic religions, Indic civilizations are concerned, why shouldn't we learn about all of them, not just the Bhagwad Gita? Instead of making the Bhagwad Gita compulsory, how about giving a choice between reading, say, the Guru Granth Sahib or the Gita? Let children make that choice about what kind of culture they want to inculcate. We leave it at that, and just like the shlok that Manashri Thapar quoted, it is for us to keep doing our work and not expect the fruits. The fruits the BJP will hope will be reaped sometime later in the year. Thanks very much for joining me.